of Unit 3 is very much to prepare you in understanding how to create a positive classroom environment where every learner feels comfortable and the environment is conducive to learning. Okay, so it is very much about creating the right atmosphere and also facilitating learning in the best manner possible for the learners. So this unit is going to involve looking at principles and practices of managing class dynamics. So during the very first session, this unit actually includes 2 sessions. During the very first session, we're going to look at the principles and practices. So these are some of the things that you can do in order to effectively manage the class dynamics. And then the second session is going to look at managing the actual group learning environment. So this is where we're going to be looking at how the different learners interact and learn within a group format. Now let's focus on each of those sessions so that we can, that I can give you more detail as to what exactly you will learn. Okay. Principles and practices of managing class dynamics. So when we talk about the principles and about the practices that we could use when we are managing class dynamics, we are going to be looking at some theory here. So we're going to look at where the term group dynamics originated from and what exactly that is. As I mentioned at the beginning of this overview session, this diploma focuses on both practicality and theory so that you can apply both in your chosen occupation within the education and learning and development industry. Okay, so we're going to also look at the characteristics of group environments. We're going to look at 3 characteristics that we should be learning about in order to create a favorable to learning group environment. One of the characteristics is about the cohesiveness of the class. So when we talk about class cohesiveness, we are referring to the shared experiences, values, and objectives amongst all the learners. So for instance, to give you an example, let's say you are attending a management training that is intended to help you improve your management skills. You could assume that the other learners have similar values and they're there for similar reasons, obviously to improve their leadership skills, but also at the actual class, when you are facilitating the classes, you may be encouraging people to share experiences that are related to their roles as managers, and that will allow you to create an environment where people listen to one another. The class is becoming more cohesive and people can even learn from one another, which really helps create a favorable to learning group environment where not only the facilitator shares knowledge and tools, but also the learners, the other participants. Okay. Another characteristic is the variety of interaction within the learning and teaching session. So when we spoke about the different learning activities and the different learning styles, it is important to take into consideration that we need to appeal to all the different learning styles. Therefore, there should be variety of activities that we are preparing in order for everyone to be engaged, so that people are engaged and we don't lose their focus, because when we lose their focus they will miss on an important piece of knowledge, information, and we don't want this to be happening as effective practitioners. The third characteristic is the level of empathy and cooperation amongst the learners. And you as a practitioner don't have direct impact on the level of empathy, and how the learners are cooperating, you could be observing their behavior. And for instance, let's say you have created a group activity which is going to help meet one of the learning outcomes. You could pair people in a way that allows them to work effectively together, because you are taking their individual learning styles into consideration. So during this very first session of managing group dynamics, managing class dynamics, we are really going to think of some of the things that we could do to create the right learning environment. As I am sure that many of you could think of perhaps attending classes where the teacher really wasn't that engaging, for instance, and following the class you had to then revisit all of the content again because you didn't feel it was the right learning environment. Well, as effective as potential, not potential, but perhaps some of you are already working within the field or preparing to start working within the field, but as effective practitioners, we want to make sure that all those characteristics are thought about, considered, and implemented for the right environment to be created. Okay. We are also going to look, as I just said, at some of the strategies that we can utilize in order for all of those characteristics to be present. We're going to look at some relationship building approaches. We're going to look at positive reinforcement and also the types of rules we can create in order to foster cooperation and empathy in the classroom. Also, we're going to look at some of the barriers that could accompany individual learning. This is really important for us as practitioners to anticipate, because we could then, when we prepare the actual lesson, we can ensure that we eliminate those different barriers. Okay. The second session is going to look at inclusive curriculum. So creating an environment that is inclusive. So we're going to look at some theory here as to what inclusive curriculum really is, in order for us to ensure that we have created an environment of equality, diversity, and inclusion. Because it is quite important, given that we live in a very, I would like to use the word global world, where we've got people from different races, different nationalities, different age groups learning together. It is quite important to really learn how to cater for the diverse needs, interests, and also personal characteristics of all the learners. So we are really going to kind of dig deeper here and understand the purpose and importance of inclusive curriculum. This is quite an interesting piece here that we have included for you, and that is actually taken from the UK government, the United Kingdom government website. So I understand that some of you may be joining us from different countries, and probably the countries that you are joining us from have their own procedures that protect learners, students, employees from being discriminated, and ensuring that everyone is treated with the same level of respect and is given the same opportunities. So I've taken this from gov.uk, which is the site of the UK government, and it is an essential piece of legislation called the Equality Act 2010, which ensures that teachers, facilitators, employers are actually not discriminating against some of those protected characteristics. So these are personal characteristics that are protected under the Equality Act. So let's have a look at what some of them are. We've got age, disability, gender, reassignment, marriage and civil partnership, pregnancy and maternity, race, religion or belief, sex, and sexual orientation. So it is important when we are designing and delivering curriculum to really ensure that people don't feel discriminated, let's say because of their sexual orientation, because of their gender. We're also going to learn the difference between direct and indirect discrimination, because these are some really important pieces of information that we should be taking into consideration when we're designing, developing, and delivering curriculum and preparing for our success as effective practitioners within the field of education and training. We're also going to look at some approaches to creating an inclusive and safe group learning environment. So, having looked at all the protected characteristics, we're going to look at the ways we can ensure that everyone feels encouraged, supported, irrespective of where they come from, what the color of their skin is, what their background is, and also creating that environment that is positive and inclusive. So just to kind of give you an example here, a useful approach could be always adopting a non-judgmental approach when we are involving learners. For instance, also when we're responding to questions. Also, on a physical level, making sure that the health and safety rules have been clearly communicated, and of course, an element of legislation here, making sure that people are actually adhering to those rules and how we keep a record of that. So apart from looking at some theory, also some key legislation from the UK, as I have picked United Kingdom as an example, we're also going to look at some of the approaches that we could be taking as practitioners. Now, having covered